Fire away. All set.
All set, Paul? Thank you. I call to order the meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust for January 8th, 2025. We have on the agenda the minutes from December 4th, but we don't have December 4th of 2024, but they haven't been presented to us yet. And so we will move on to item 2, which is the working session of 5-year action plan, and I will turn it over to Jackie Bresnahan.
Thank you. So some updates for you tonight. As you all know, we'll be meeting at 7 o'clock very shortly tonight with the Planning Board, Zoning Board, Master Plan Committee, and the Affordable Housing Trust, which is you all, for a presentation from Planning Director Anna Burry-Carmer on the Comprehensive Zoning Review. Anna is also joining us tonight for the Affordable Housing Trust meeting just to get a chance to say hello and start getting caught up on all the wonderful work you guys have been doing the last 2 years. Anna also very generously scheduled the training for you all, which we sent out the details about for your next meeting date, which is February 5th. So we'll have your regular meeting at 6 o'clock, but for those that are available, we've got folks coming out at 4:30 to do a training, which I'll ask Anna to speak to in a few minutes. In terms of implementation on the 5-year action plan, I had a wonderful meeting today with some of our town staff. So Anna and myself, as well as Nathan Stedman, our VSO, Jillian Smith, our Council on Aging Director, and Brad Swanson, our Chief Assessor, met. The trust has been talking about a program for helping people with short-term work for ADA compliance or aging in place, and we had a really productive conversation about that today. We're using a policy that we had found from Plymouth when we first started looking at the program, and we're pulling in data and information from those 3 departments, as well as Anna and myself, with the hope that at your February 5th meeting, we'll have a really well laid out policy conceptually for you to review. We'll then send it to council to ensure that all of the legalese is in good shape, and then have you adopt it hopefully at your March meeting, so we can implement that program in the late spring, summer of this year, and really start helping people within the next 6 months. That's the goal, and that gives us enough time, I think, to do it and do it well, with all the legal and financial stuff that will follow.
So is that going to include, because I think last time we talked about kind of a comprehensive list of other programs that people can go at, so it's not necessarily being funded out of the trust for something that can be funded somewhere else, right?
Thank you, Bill. That's a great point that we did talk about today. And so I'd asked all 3 of those departments to put together a list of services or programs that they either run or refer people to, so that on the Affordable Housing page, there will be a hub of information, and you can start with, what does a COA offer or refer to. It will have a core hub of all the info in one place, and how who and what is eligible for those programs, and then our program will follow. So we'll do some education about those other programs first, and then roll out our program when it's ready.
Just making sure it's not redundant, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a very good point, and it's one that we talked about today with the team of finding the gaps where we have in service versus starting something that's redundant, repetitive. The goal is to find people that aren't being supported by existing programming.
Okay.
So that actually was really productive, and I did ask all of those folks. A lot of them have already been reached out to by members of the trust, but I did ask all of them. We did a pretty deep dive on the strategic plan while we met today, and I've asked them to look at your 7 goals as part of the implementation, and the strategies that are involved, and ways that they can provide either education or opportunities to help achieve those goals. So that was really good. I don't want to steal Anna's thunder because she's going to be making a lot of presentation tonight with the other boards, which I'm really grateful all of you will be able to join. I think that's a really productive way. We did that last January, and I think it was really productive. And now with our new planner, I think that's going to be a great start. Anna and I are going to be diving into the SHI over the next couple of weeks, something that we've been talking about for a while. Partially for your goals and projects, and also partially for the zoning review, and also because Anna's going to be starting to update our housing production plan that expired in 2024. So we're very excited to get into the weeds on that and make sure that we're up to date. I did speak with Costa Printakis, chair of the CPC, and I expect to see a transfer to the Affordable Housing Trust at the annual town meeting from the CPC budget again to continue the funding plan that I know Mr. Gregorio may have an update about. And then in terms of other things, I've been tinkering with your website a little bit, still super open to suggestions, and I've been working with Jillian Smith from the COA on a few dates for some educational programs at the COA about the trust and the strategic plan. So I need to coordinate, I think, Bill, with you and Brian about your availability, so maybe we can talk offline tonight about some days and times that are workable for you and Brian, if he does arrive in time.
Yep.
And then Clerk Twist did come in and notarize all of your signatures. I'm going to work to get the select board signatures notified, and then I'm going to be working on getting your final declaration of trust registered with the Registry of Deeds. So that will likely be my last piece of like really aggressive administrative business on behalf of the trust. Anna has hit the ground running since she began with the town in November, and we've been having some good discussions between ourselves and with Town Administrator Soltzbach. And at this point, Anna is going to take over as the lead staff person, point person, working with this board. I really appreciate all of you, appreciate the time I've gotten to spend with you the last 2 years. I think you've done a remarkable amount, and I'm not blowing smoke. I said it to the staff today, and Anna can back me up. You guys have gotten an awful lot done. You've done a lot of education, you've done a lot of research, you've done a lot of homework, and you've done a lot of implementation in the, you've existed for 2 years, but it's really only been a little over a year that you've worked on the plan, and you're already implementing a lot of elements of it. And I just want to say, like, a great moment to maybe stop and reflect as we start the new year, like how much you guys have done in the time frame that you've done it. Just really impressed as someone that's worked with a lot of different boards and committees creating and implementing plans. You guys have really, really hit the ground running.
Can you tell me when will Anna take it on then, what month?
Right now.
Oh, good.
So this is our handoff.
Do you have this is the transition.
This is the
baton
transition,
is handed
so,
over. Very good.
I
Very
will
good.
likely
Thank
be-
you.
You guys can keep the baton.
Are you gonna move the
No,
baton?
the baton
You
is
should've
going
brought
from
it.
Jackie
Baton's going from me
to
to Anna.
Anna, not from me to you. But we will do that too, but they were discussing how Anna will be taking over as of today. Jackie.
For me, with your trust. Good evening.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, it's okay. I'll catch you up on what I've already gone over towards the end, if that's
You
all
didn't
right.
really miss.
So yeah, a lot of good progress on the action items. You'll meet again on February 5th, and obviously you're meeting tonight with the other boards. So I think we're in good shape.
Okay, that's fine.
And I think that was the extent of my updates, Brian. I just give you the highlight level version, and we can certainly talk offline about it. Met with the staff about the implementation for the grant program. Going to have a concept draft for your February meeting with a hope of getting that reviewed by council and financial, so you can approve with a program framework in March, and we can start implementing it in the late spring, early summer. I've spoken to Mr. Prontakis about a CPC appropriation to the trust for this year, so that's already in the CPC draft budget he'll start to work on for when they meet.
He needs a formal request from us?
I already did it.
Okay, thank you.
Anna and I are starting to dig into the SHI that this board and other boards will need. She's going to talk more about all of that in her presentation to the 4-board meeting at 7. And I've been tinkering with the website, and last but not least, we'll talk with you and Bill after about some dates, working with the Council on Aging for some events and some education. So I just need to talk to you and Bill about availability.
Okay.
And then, Anna, can I ask to trouble you about the training on February 5th? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so one of the things that Jackie recommended as kind of when she was introducing me to you all before I was meeting you all, she spoke really highly and said that you were on a really kind of a fast track to make some changes. And one of the things that would be really helpful is to understand what kind of strategies other towns are using for affordable housing, things like inclusionary zoning, things like other kind of maybe zoning regulations or other regulations. And so we connected with the Mass Housing Partnership. They provide trainings all over Massachusetts, and one of their senior planners who has a ton of experience is going to be coming to do kind of like a workshop info session, I would call it, around basically, what she knows about the strategies that are out there, what might work in Middleton, especially like looking at our zoning. So she's going to dig in a little bit beforehand of sort of population demographics, population needs, zoning, and then come and present that. And I hope for that to be a presentation and an open discussion for you all to have the opportunity to like ask her questions, really get her insight on things. And I am also hoping that it will be, I'll extend the invite to other board and committee members who are interested, so that way whoever is interested can come. It really is developed specifically for like board and committee members, so I am hesitant to really put like a public invite out. I don't think it would be best suited for someone who has no knowledge of affordable housing, but if you're coming in with the knowledge of like where you're at with the board and committee, then that's kind of the ideal group for this particular training.
I did notice, because one of my board members from the Housing Authority emailed me this afternoon and said, Maria, is there a meeting for the training? I said, no, I forwarded her your thing. I said, no,
Yeah.
it's February 5th.
Yeah.
So you did send an invite out to some people, it seemed like, but not the
Yes.
whole affordable housing. Was it the whole Affordable Housing Trust? 'Cause
Well,
got
I
it for this
intended,
one.
I intended to send to the whole
Oh,
Affordable Housing
that's what
Trust,
happened.
but
Okay.
maybe I missed a few. So
Yeah.
let me make sure that everyone's gotten it.
The website should have the right emails on. If our Housing
Okay.
Authority doesn't, you can reach out to me, or to Eileen would have those for sure.
Oh, yeah, so I can include other folks at the Housing Authority. Right now, I've just sent the invite out to the folks on this committee.
But someone from my Housing Authority got an invite and asked me,
Okay.
they thought it was tonight, and I said, no, so I don't know.
February 5th?
For the February 5th, she goes, there's a training tonight. I said, no, it's the 5th. So she got an invite, and she's on the Housing Authority, Karen McGaffrey, so I don't know if it was a
Okay.
mistake, I don't know, But she got it.
Oh, is she on master plan committee?
She is.
She got
Is
it,
that
because she's
why
on
she got it?
Master
because
plan.
Oh, see, she's on the
Planning
Housing
board,
Authority,
Zoning
so
board, master
Okay.
plan, and affordable housing.
she didn't
trust.
mention where she got it. I made the
Yeah, so
assumption
she
it
would
was
have
that.
received it
I
in her
got it.
capacity as
Okay.
master plan committee
Thank you,
member.
thanks for that clarification. But I let her know it wasn't tonight.
And that'll be at the Flint Public Library, or did we find another location?
Actually, we're planning to have it here.
We'll be here,
Yeah.
okay, in this room.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anna. I think that's so helpful. And one other opportunity that I did want to make mention of tonight with you all here is I had forwarded an email on January 15th, which I recognize is a week from tonight. It's very soon. There will be an event in Peabody from a housing institute, and it's not just Middleton, it's for the region, but it's talking about regional approaches, and there will be folks from a variety of other communities in the area. And part of that is because we had talked when Kevin Hurley was here from the Home Consortium, and so we're in that region. And so some of the other communities that are invited to that are people who have benefited from the fact that we haven't tapped into Middleton's share of the Home Consortium funds. They've gone to more regional efforts. So I think it'd be great even if one or two people can go and then maybe report back at your February meeting. And that's next Wednesday, the 15th of January, and I believe it's in Peabody. But I did send an email if there's someone who's able to attend. If no one can, I'll see if I can try to go. But if someone can, I won't go with you. I'll let you take the lead. And I think that was everything. I did have a list of things from the December meeting. And Mr. Chair, you were late. We don't have minutes to approve from that
Okay.
evening. That's been
Yeah,
postponed.
I've got that.
But I think, you know, given that we went from December to January, that was quite a bit that we tried to get done in that time frame. And we'll see you again on February 5th, which is great. And I want to applaud Anna because I had asked her about that training and she took it and ran with it and has added these other boards and committees, which is wonderful. And as you'll learn later, you know, we will kick off the comprehensive zoning review tonight at 7. So it's actually wonderful timing to add a lot of information and feedback and support for affordable housing that this body has been working on into whatever zoning ideas are starting to be developed over the next year and a half as we hit towards May 2026, which seems awfully far, but truly isn't. As someone who's working on a capital plan that extends through fiscal 2030, time is just slipping away. So that was everything I had in terms of working session updates tonight.
Okay, thank you.
This was the only thing.
Before we have any other questions in working session, Rich, I don't know if anything on your budget. I actually had one question on here I was going to ask.
Go ahead. I know the question is.
February negative?
So I.
You had to make it
No,
red.
that's not February, that is October.
October, I meant, sorry.
I got surprised by that as well, and what I was told was October is the month where Bartholomew typically does their annual adjustments we record the value of the market-to-market method, and we do usually see a loss, and in the month of November, it gets corrected.
Okay, yeah, because I was wondering why it went down and then went up, so.
But from my perspective, in summary, overall for the year so far, we are ahead of what I had budgeted for.
Budgeted, yeah. I
So
agree.
we're ended the month of November with $300,250 of cash.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I figured it was an accounting reconciliation, is what I figured it was. Okay.
I believe all of our trusts.
But it surprised me when I got the report, and I'm saying, what?
Yeah, it was the only red one on here. Okay, thank you.
And I also, in the 5-year plan, just as a placeholder for discussion, at the last meeting, it was said that the possibility in fiscal year '29, we could be eligible for additional CPC housing. If the committee is inclined with the library debt being dropped.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
So I
that
added it on
FY29.
as a placeholder, just for discussion, whether it's excited or negative, we'll see what happens.
Okay. Back to working session. So, Jackie, on the January 15th, the Wednesday, the Housing Institute meeting, is that being put on by North Shore Home Consortium, or?
Great question. If you give me a moment, I will answer it.
The reason why I ask is, would we be eligible, and, I mean, I'm trying to remember when he met with us, but would we be eligible for applying for funds at the North Shore Home for the grant program that we're doing to supplement?
I have to double check if they will do existing or if they only do creation of new units. I have an email from him somewhere that I can double check that. I think they are more focused on creation and
Well,
preservation.
I know he said in the past they used to do that program themselves and then they stopped doing it.
I don't think their money allows for it
That was my
anymore.
recollection, that they had moved away from it.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about the RFP, but he also talked in his presentation about how previously in the past they had
But
managed.
weren't they stepping away from that?
That's what I
Yeah, I
remember.
just didn't know if that
remember.
was completely off the
Yeah.
table or
I don't know
not.
if it was off, but it seemed like that they were just really
Yeah,
stepping
they
away
weren't
from
leaning, they
it.
weren't leaning towards that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll get you the sponsor of the event in just a second. I'm
I
sorry,
think it
my
was
email
on the,
timed
I'm
out.
trying to remember the email you sent us. I think it was at the bottom. I'm trying to
Yeah, it
remember.
was.
It was
I
at the
just-
bottom. I just can't remember it off the top of my
We have
head.
very good cybersecurity now, so my email timed out when I left Memorial Hall.
Oh.
So I'll be right with you
Okay.
while it loads.
Well, while that's happening, Anna, as you're looking at other cities and towns and programs that they have, one of the things that would be helpful is those that may have some type of grant program to support, because what I think, at least I'm grappling with, is trying to figure out what we should seed that with. You know, I mean, I have no idea what the interest level will
Were you
be.
here when she said she was going to pull from Plymouth? Were
Oh,
you here then? I don't think he was here when you talked about
Oh,
Plymouth.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so I met with Anna and I met with Jillian Smith from the COA, Nathan Stedman from the VSO's office, and Brad Swanson, the chief assessor. And we also talked about looping in one of our public health nurses from the Tri-Town Health Consortium, the Tri-Town Health Group, who does a lot of home visits. So that's one of the things that when we bring the concept plan forward to you, we're gonna come with some economies of scale of like the types of things. And like, if it's what dollar value we're talking about, what the threshold is for individual projects, and what is like a grant versus a loan, and all of that. So one of the things that I had actually asked the chief assessor to get into was, we used to do a lien program for people with septic loans. So I'd asked him to go back. I remember the mechanism of it wasn't like financially convenient for anyone, town or user, but like, let's lift what's good out of that. And then I have a lot of information from the town of Plymouth to go off of as we build it. But obviously their program's about 10 years old, so municipal modernization has changed things. So when we come in February, it'll be with a fully fleshed out concept plan, dollar values, repayment if necessary, types of projects that are, recommended. And then that way you guys will be able to make a determination of, we want to get X number of projects done a year, so we're going to put X dollars. So that's part of the concept plan we're hoping to deliver on February 5th.
Okay, that's helpful.
And I think one of the things that we talked about today, those folks know a majority of the population of people that we want to target. But Jillian Smith, our COA director, brought up a really great option about, there are people that know they have a problem, and then there are people that might need an ADA assessment. And is that something, we could work with either the health department or the building department to offer as part of the program of having one of our health nurses go in and do an assessment of this rug is a trip hazard, like you could do with a grab bar here. So that's one of the options that Jillian was going to put some information together for as we start to build out what we're talking about.
Wasn't Herman helping with that a little bit too, Jackie? From
Yes,
his
Herman was, but we had talked at the December meeting that I was going to pull together the staff.
Okay.
Just to kind of get everybody in one room and come together.
Very good.
Yeah, I like the idea of an ADA assessment. It probably makes sense for that to be a public health nurse.
I think Dr. Alara's office does that too.
They may do it also.
They do, yeah.
Whom?
Dr. Alara's office, because I know a friend
Oh, okay.
who had her, for her parents recently. But that's
And
private.
I know depending on the size of this, I don't think this is something that we're going to be managing on our own. I think we had talked about utilizing, are you looking at that as well, Jackie, is potentially utilizing an outside organization to kind of manage? I mean, I think it depends on how big it is.
It depends on how big it is, and that's one of the things that we talked about today with the staff, because those staff all manage some of our programs that already currently exist. The assessor's office already has programs that they statutorily run and that they do a really good job of keeping private and confidential. There are things that the COA and VSO also do. So, to Bill's earlier point, we're assessing our current programming and we're putting everything in one place so we can look at it all together. And then I think one of the things that we talked about today is, if need be, having, a point person within one of those departments that is going to run this program, and, that there's maybe a designee from each of the departments that we were meeting with today who is the point person for each department, because it may be a joint department effort, and then maybe we bring in someone, maybe we don't. But I think that's where I want to get all that input into the version that we bring to you, so that on February 5th, we have a pretty good draft of what the policy looks like, what the rules look like, what the implementation looks like, get your feedback on those concepts and the implementation strategies, and then if you're all in good shape, we take in your feedback, that goes to council, and then what you vote on becomes what we do.
Okay.
So I've asked all of them, to go through the plan pretty thoughtfully, think about existing things, think about, we don't want to create more work where we don't need to. The goal is to be efficient and thoughtful.
Okay, appreciate that.
And I did ask them to look at our other goal areas, because they may come up with things that we don't. One of the things that came up today, the chief assessor had asked, we need to talk about the fact that the new ADU rules we'll have on our SHI and our subsidized housing counts. And that's something that, unless someone goes through the process of making them a legal affordable unit.
Unless they do that through,
EDU.
yeah, but do that through,
HLC.
yeah, thank you.
But at the same time, one of the things, and you'll all laugh, but Anna lived through it this morning, that we talked about is, big A and small A affordable housing. Yep.
I'm gonna get you a T-shirt with that.
No kidding. And that was, I said, if I can sum up the plan in a few words, it's that the goal of the committee, and, on your behalf, I said, the goal is to come up with strategies for both big A and small A affordable housing, and for allowing people to age in place in a way that's economical and makes sense, recognizing that there's short, medium, and long-term ways to get there.
I think it's important for our residents to see that too. That we make some little milestones.
Speaking of ADUs, any word if there's been any, since town meeting and the change? Obviously, the Attorney General has to sign off on that, but
We
any?
haven't gotten anything back that I'm
No,
aware of
I
at
would
this time.
expect not to get it back from the AG's office yet, but any, has the building commissioner's office had any outreach from individuals that are interested?
Not that I've heard of. Anna, I don't know, you're in the same building though, if you've heard anything different than I've heard.
I've just seen one request come in, just asking about it. Yeah.
Are they meeting the 10th of this month, January, to put guidelines in the state? They didn't even have,
Yeah, so the final guidelines are not.
Yeah, the
are
regs
not
don't go
out.
live until, it's like February 15th,
I think February 2nd.
second, okay,
second, but they were meeting the 10th, which is what's today, the 8th. So
Yep.
they haven't even met yet. Guidelines. Very efficient of them.
the state.
Yep.
Okay, folks, anything else on working session?
No.
Okay.
One thing, I'm just getting caught up to speed, but on the grant program, and maybe you shared this today, but I've forgotten, is there a specific focus on the types of work that you all were wanting to fund?
I think what we've talked about is, now, I don't think we want this to be a program for for large-scale renovations. It's just, there's not enough capital there for that. I think these are items like ADA accessibility, life safety, utilities,
Okay.
the well is failed, septic is failed, the heating system, items like that. And what we've also talked about in the past, Anna, is, and I know Jackie's got this in her mindset, and probably the discussion she's had with the team is, not every grant is going to be leaned on a property. We're not gonna, fund some ADA compliance, like a ramp in front and some grab bars, and put a lien on the home. I mean, it cost more to put the lien on. But for those that may be larger in scale, that there may want to be a lien put on, we'd also talked about a certain time period for that the lien would disappear and the grant would disappear, which seems to be the modus operandi with some of the other communities that have done this in the past.
Yeah, I think from my perspective was that we wanted to see kind of the list of everything else that's available before we would kind of even target a direction, right? I mean, because if there's other programs that are available, that can be leveraged, I think we don't want to be spending our money towards those types of
Yeah, and I
programs.
think,
right.
I think we also have to figure out, like, we may get a lot more requests than we have dollars for. We may have dollars and get a very small number of requests. So I don't want to tie up the dollars on this if we build it and they don't come.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's about communication
Yeah.
too,
And-
right?
We did
Yeah,
talk
you
today
do
too,
know about
when
it.
we met with the staff, and I'm gonna hopefully sit down with the building commissioner. I need to reach out to him about what we would include to our donation to the library of things. Because we had talked about that today too, of like, if there's people who just don't have the right tools to do this, so, and I did speak with the library director, at the beginning of just like the day or two after we had your meeting, and was happy to store it, happy to pull it into the system, and so at that point I'll be talking with the building commissioner soon, I think, and Anna, I'd love to have you in that conversation too.
Okay. Okay.
And then last piece of logistical business, you have your next meeting on February 5th, so you'll have the training, and then you'll roll right into your February 5th meeting on the same evening.
The training is happening at
4:30.
4:30. Thank you.
And we'll send out calendar invites
I
for
got
that if
that.
we haven't. But I also want to let you know, I did book this room through the end of the school year for the first Wednesday of the month that you've been doing, so your room bookings are set for the foreseeable timeframe.
We already have the calendar invite for that.
Yeah.
Anna sent that out.
Anna did.
Anna did send that,
Thank you for
yeah.
that, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Anna.
For the, yeah.
And Brian, for just one last thing to go back to, Wednesday, January 15th is actually hosted by Harbor Light.
It is Harbor Light.
It is Harbor Light Homes,
Did you not get the email?
but it's part of their education and advocacy arm that is hosting it.
Okay.
So, but that was all I had for tonight.
Anybody else?
No? We're good?
Are we getting close to 7?
Okay.
6:45.
Okay, well, that's all I have. And as always, just a reminder, if there's items that you'd like on the agenda, just let us know, a few days before we post. And this agenda usually gets posted Wednesday before our meeting, no, Thursday before our meeting, correct?
Thursday or so, yeah.
Yeah. So if you could let me know by a Monday or a Tuesday, we'll make sure it's on the agenda.
Easy enough.
Very good.
Okay.
And look forward
Anything
to
from our
Anna.
audience?
No.
You just walked in, so you go.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a motion to recess because we're going to be going into a joint meeting, so we're not going to take a motion to adjourn.
You could do it either way.
Okay. We can take a motion to adjourn, and then we will,
So moved.
okay. We are adjourned.